Picture this. It's 1386, the town of Falaise, France. A crowd is gathering for a public execution. The crime was murder. Justice is about to be served. But here's the twist. The criminal in the dock wasn't a person. It was a pig. And no, this isn't a fairy tale. This really happened.
And we know it happened because of documents just like this one. This isn't from some storybook, it's an actual receipt. And what's so jarring is how normal it sounds. It's just a bureaucratic payment record for a hangman's salary and a new pair of gloves, all for the execution of a pig who committed a terrible crime.
So that's the big question, isn't it? To us, it sounds completely bizarre, almost insane. But for hundreds of years across Europe, this was a serious, formal practice. So today, we're going to dig in and figure out exactly why.
Let's start with the most famous case of them all, the Sow of Falaise. It's the perfect window into this really strange legal world. So it's 1386, and a domestic pig has killed a 3-month-old baby. But what happens next isn't just a mob of angry villagers. It's something way more organized.
And this is the absolute key. You have to understand, this wasn't some chaotic riot. It was the complete opposite. It was a formal, state-sanctioned legal proceeding run by the government with judges, courts, and professional executioners.
So, how in the world do you actually prosecute a pig? Well, the level of detail they went into is just astounding. They didn't just wing it. They followed a very specific procedure that honestly looks a whole lot like a trial for a human being.
The whole process followed these very distinct stages. First, the crime was legally defined. Then, the animal was actually put in prison. After that, a formal trial was held. And finally, if found guilty, a professional executioner carried out the sentence. Every single step was treated with the full weight of the law.
Now, check this out. The language they used is so specific. Historian Leslie Bates McGregor found that the records almost always use the word murder, not just killing. Now, in medieval law, murder was a huge deal. It meant the act was planned, that there was malice involved. So by using that specific word, they were legally treating the pig's act as a crime with actual intent.
And they were serious about the whole prison thing, too. In one case, a pig was kept in a human prison for an unbelievable 146 days before it even went to trial. And get this, the jailer charged the government the exact same price for the pig's room and board as he did for any human prisoner.
The state also didn't seem to care about the cost. In one instance, a professional executioner had to travel 80 kilometers, that's about 50 miles, just for the job of hanging one pig. This wasn't some local chore. It was a major state operation that cost time, money, and resources.
The receipts they kept show this incredible attention to detail. There were line items for a cart to haul the pig, a brand new rope for the hanging, and, like we saw, a new pair of gloves. And those gloves were really important. They were a symbol that the hangman was acting as an agent of justice, and so he himself had no personal guilt for taking a life, even a pig's life.
Okay, so we've seen the how, but we're still stuck on the why. To get that, you have to kind of leave our modern world behind and step into a completely different way of seeing things. A world where justice wasn't just about punishment, it was about fixing the universe.
This really breaks it down. See, our modern idea of justice revolves around intent. We don't think an animal can form criminal intent, so for us, punishment is usually about preventing future harm. But the medieval view? Totally different. For them, justice was about repairing a rip in the very fabric of God's creation.
Yeah, historian Paul Friedland makes a great point here. He says we get tripped up because we keep trying to see these trials through our modern lens of deterrence. They weren't hanging a pig to scare all the other pigs straight. That's us projecting our ideas onto the past. The real reason was something much, much deeper.
And this is it. This is the core idea. In the medieval Christian worldview, God made a very specific, natural order of things. Humans were on top, and animals were below them. So when a domestic animal killed a human, it was a horrifying violation of that God-given order. It was unnatural. As researcher Sven Gens puts it, the trial was a public ritual to fix that cosmic mistake and put the world back the way it was supposed to be.
And it wasn't just pigs facing the long arm of the law. This legal system had ways to deal with all kinds of animal offenders, from bulls and dogs all the way down to rats and insects.
So basically, there were two different types of animal trials. First, you had the regular, secular trials for individual animals, like a pig or a bull that had actually killed a person.
The punishment there was physical, execution. But then you had these other trials run by the church against whole groups of pests, like swarms of locusts or fields of rats that were destroying crops. And their punishment? Excommunication.
And yeah, you heard me right. A church official would literally walk out to a field and out loud formally summon the beetles or the rats to appear in court and defend themselves. Of course, when they didn't show up, the church would officially excommunicate them, basically casting them out in the name of God.
So what can we take away from all this? I mean, these stories are more than just bizarre historical trivia. They really make you stop and think about our own ideas of justice, what it means to be human, and our whole relationship with the animal kingdom.
I think Sven Jins nails it with this quote. He says, these trials weren't really about the animals at all. They were like local laboratories where people could act out and reinforce their own ideas about what it meant to be human in a world they believed was ordered by God.
Now, before we write this all off as just crazy medieval stuff, think about this for a second. We still kill animals that are considered dangerous to people. We just use softer language. We call it having them put down or humanely destroyed. The process is less public, but the end result of a state-sanctioned killing is, well, it's pretty similar.
Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. The rituals and the language have definitely changed, but has the basic idea really evolved all that much? Maybe that past isn't quite as distant as it seems.